We obviously can't say too much about the Las Vegas Raiders 2023 draft class for a while, but at the moment I like what they did. It's easy to see they stayed true to their board from the beginning. At number 7 overall, Jalen Carter was available, and they still picked Tyree Wilson. Agree or not, you gotta give it to them for sticking to their board. I think Wilson jumped over Carter on their board because Carter showed up at his pro day out of shape. I still wanted Carter, but don't blame them, and I'm happy with the pick. Being out of shape at a pro day is tantamount to being drunk at a regular job interview. Back to Ziegler though. He even traded up when the set value called for it. But did he tell us something with the draft picks that he made and didn't make? Let's try to figure it out. As crazy as it sounds, the Raiders didn't address the offensive line at all in the draft. They were good at the tackle position last year, but they were horrible in pass protection on the interior. I don't know how you take that, but I take that as they believe they got it on the offensive line already. It is draft and develop, not just draft, so it looks like the Raiders are going to develop. Wait a minute though. Offensive line coach Carmen Bricio is great at what he does, but he's not God, and it would take nothing short of a miracle for the Raiders to block guys like Chris Jones if they tried out the same offensive line they did last year. Guard Alex Bars wasn't so good in pass protection last year, and he's been in the league 5 years. Neither was center Andre James, and he's been in the league 5 years. I don't see where they start to develop all of a sudden. I would love for them to prove me wrong, though. And while guard Dylan Parham, who struggled as a rookie, can develop, he may not ever be big and strong enough to be an NFL guard in the power gap scheme. He could probably get better at anchoring and pass protection, though. So I think Ziegler's draft is telling us he's going to shuffle some guys around on this offensive line. And in that shuffle, Dylan Parham moves to center. He played there briefly and looked much better than he did at guard last year. I believe that's the position the Raiders drafted him to play. At 6'3", 311 pounds, he has good size and strength for a center, and he's good with the ball handling aspect of playing center. I don't know who will play on each side, but I believe Netane Mutai will be at one of the guard spots. The new regime has loved him and spoke glowing of him since they took him off the Denver Broncos practice squad last year. Why? I think Mutai being one of the strongest men in the NFL has a little something to do with it. He's actually a good player that was stuck in the zone blocking scheme, but now gets a chance to develop under Bricio. For the other guard spot, the Raiders will probably take from their tackles to give to their guards. The new regime loves right tackle Theron Munford. It took Jermaine Illuminor 6 weeks into the regular season to take that right tackle spot from him. He's going to make that big jump to year 2 and be ready to start. And Illuminor, who just re-signed with the Raiders this offseason, will move to guard, where I believe greatness awaits him. Byron Young's a nice little pick in the 3rd round. He's going to challenge for a starting spot or at least be in the rotation. The Raiders didn't know he was going to be available when they picked in the 3rd round, though. Again, they could have had Jalen Carter. That tells us what they think of Wilson, but I believe it also tells us what they think of interior defensive lineman Jerry Tillery. He may not have had any sacks himself, but the Raiders sacked the quarterback at a much higher rate when Tillery came over. Tillery had a profound effect on Chandler Jones, too. Jones had 1 sack in the 9 games before he got there and 3.5 sacks in the 6 games he played with Tillery. Tillery came in putting heat on the quarterback, so opposing teams started doubling him. Edge rushers can eat when they play with an interior defensive lineman that takes double teams. Defensive coordinator Patrick Brown spoke very highly of Tillery when they got him, so I knew the Raiders would bring him back. The Los Angeles Chargers 2018 first-round pick is only 24, so the new regime will get a chance to develop him. I expect him to be even better this year, so the edge rushers will eat even more. By taking a corner in the 4th round, Ziegler's telling us the Raiders like their corners, especially Nate Hobbs. He's one of the few, if not the only draft pick the last regime made that the new regime loves. I know a lot of us were screaming about the corners before the draft, but the Raiders might be onto something. Hobbs played well the first 4 games of the season last year. Then he injured his wrist in week 5, struggled through the rest of the season, and was out for 6 weeks. When he came back, he wasn't quite the same. In the first 4 games, he gave up a passer rating of 75.6. After the injury, he gave up a passer rating of 123.5. For whatever the reason, Rock Ya-Sin, who played well when healthy last year, is unsigned. But Tyler All played extremely well filling in for him down the stretch last year. The Raiders have since brought in depth and competition, so we'll see how it shakes out outside. I think 4th round pick Jacorian Bennett's going to challenge for the slot corner position. They're starting to put fast guys in the slot now, so his 4.3 wheels will be useful there. And that could be telling us Amik Robertson is out of here. I'm not going to sit here and grade this draft class before they've played a single game in the NFL. That's just silly. But as of right now, I like what the Raiders did, and I like the way they did it. They stayed true to their board and didn't reach for need. And when they saw a player that they valued, they went ahead and traded up for him. They had a plan for this draft. They had a plan for personnel this offseason period, and I believe this draft just told us what it is. It looks like the Raiders are going to stand pat at corner while Bennett challenges for that starting corner spot and reshuffle the interior of that offensive line. And the defensive line is set now. Thank you for watching. See you next time.